All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, great to be here.
So today we are talking about, invoices.
Invoices, everyone's favorite.
Right, exactly. They can be a real pain, especially for businesses.
Absolutely. And a major headache for so many companies. Tons of paperwork, manual data entry. It's like a black hole for productivity.
It really is, and that's why we're diving into Astute AP invoice automation today.
Interesting stuff.
It's all about bringing the power of, GenAI, generative AI to your accounts payable department.
Really interesting.
Yeah, so instead of, people spending hours hunched over these stacks of invoices.
Right, drowning in paperwork.
Exactly. We're talking about an AI that can do a lot of that heavy lifting for you.
So it's more than just, making AP faster. This is about using AI to completely change how AP departments function.
Right. And not just function like, a little bit better, but actually potentially, generating revenue and definitely, slashing costs.
That's a big deal, turning a cost center into a profit center.
Yeah, for real. And one of the things that really got me excited about this is the whole early payment discount thing.
Oh, yeah. That's huge. So many businesses miss out on those discounts because they're just bogged down in the manual processing.
Exactly. And if you can automate that process with AI, suddenly you're in a position to grab those discounts and actually, make some money for the company.
Exactly, instead of just spending it.
So our mission today is to really understand, how Astute AP uses this Gen AI to transform accounts payable.
Yeah, and what kind of real tangible value it brings to companies.
And the really cool things we're talking about, a pretty fast turnaround, like less than 60 days from start to finish.
That's impressive. Most AI implementations take way longer.
So let's get into it.
Sounds good.
So, the first thing is to really understand the problem we're trying to solve here.
Right.
It's not really a secret that manual invoice processing is a pain point for businesses across the board.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that, but what's surprising is just how many businesses are still struggling with this. Like over 50% of companies still don't have any kind of automation solution for their AP.
Wow. That is a lot more than I would guessed.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking when you think about it, all the technology we have, and yet so many companies are stuck in these really outdated processes.
And it's not just, a minor inconvenience. This is costing businesses serious money.
Absolutely. It impacts cash flow, profitability, everything.
So let's talk numbers because, that's what really drives it home.
Okay, so on average, it costs between $11 and $25 to process a single invoice manually.
Okay, that doesn't sound too bad.
Right.
Oh.
But then you multiply that by the sheer volume of invoices most companies deal with every year, and suddenly you're talking about a huge amount of money.
So how much are we talking about?
Well, across all companies, the total spend on manual AP processing is estimated to be around $510 billion annually.
Wow, that's a staggering number.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, and that's just direct and indirect costs associated with the manual process.
And to really see the scale of this problem, let's look at some specific sectors like state and local government. They process about 30 million invoices every year.
Wow, and higher education institutions, they're dealing with about 20 million invoices.
So you can imagine the resources that could be freed up if they could automate a significant portion of that processing.
Absolutely. It's a massive opportunity, and that brings us to the question, what could you do with all that time and money if you weren't spending it on manual invoice processing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's where Astute AP really comes into the picture.
Exactly.
So let's talk about Astute AP. What is it at its core?
Well, it's an AI-powered solution specifically designed for automating invoice processing in accounts payable.
So basically taking all that manual data entry and handing it over to an AI.
Exactly. That's the main goal, to free up AP teams from those repetitive tasks.
And how does it actually work? I mean, how does it take an invoice and, understand what's on it?
Well, it uses some really cool technology from Oracle. It's called Oracle AI Document Understanding, or ODU, and it's basically a set of pre-trained AI models that have learned how to read and understand invoices.
So the AI has already gone to school on invoices.
Exactly. It knows what to look for, all the key data points, the vendor, the amount, the invoice number, all of that.
That's pretty impressive. And what about companies that use Oracle ERP systems like PeopleSoft or EBS or JDE or Banner?
Well, that's where AstuteAP really shines because it has these pre-built integrations with all those systems.
So the data just flows seamlessly from the AI into their existing system.
Exactly. No need for manual uploads or anything like that. It triggers all the necessary workflows for approval and payment automatically.
That's a huge time saver. And what about after the invoice is processed? Does AstuteAP just forget about it?
Nope, it actually creates a secure digital repository where all your processed invoices are stored so you can easily search and retrieve them whenever you need to.
It's like a digital filing cabinet, but way more organized and efficient.
Right, and it's all searchable so you can find any invoice in seconds.
So let's talk benefits, because I know there are a lot.
Yeah, there's some big ones.
Okay, so the first one that jumps out at me is accuracy and speed.
Right, I mean, that's the whole point of automation. You want things to be faster and more accurate.
And with AstuteAP, we're not just talking about a small improvement here.
No, it's significant. The research suggests that businesses can automate 80% or more of their invoice processing with AstuteAP.
So that's 80% of invoices being processed without any manual data entry.
Exactly what they call touchless processing. No human intervention needed.
That's incredible. What kind of impact does that have on costs?
Well, it's a game changer because when you eliminate all that manual work, your total cost of ownership for AP goes way down. We're talking about potential savings of 50% or more.
Wow, that's a huge number.
Yeah, it is. And we've seen some specific projections for higher ed institutions. They're looking at saving around $13 per invoice.
And the fact that it integrates so well with systems like PeopleSoft and EBS and Banner, that's key, because it means you can actually realize those savings without spending a ton of money on integration.
Absolutely. It's all about that seamless integration.
Okay, so we've got accuracy, speed, cost savings. What else?
Well, another big one is fraud prevention.
Oh, yeah, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. So AstuteAP has built-in features that validate invoices to prevent things like duplicate payments or even fake invoices from slipping through the cracks.
So it's like having an extra set of eyes constantly scrutinizing every invoice.
Right. And it's not just a passive system either. If it detects anything suspicious, it flags it immediately on an alert dashboard.
So you're always in the loop.
Yeah. And it also has built-in error detection and exception handling capabilities, so it can deal with those weird cases that always seem to pop up.
So it's not just about automation, it's about intelligent automation.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about the tech behind AstuteAP, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all built on the cloud using Oracle's cloud-native architecture.
So it's designed to be scalable and reliable.
Absolutely. And it leverages a whole suite of Oracle AI services, like the Oracle Document Understanding AI service we talked about, and some really advanced large language models that have been specifically trained on invoices.
So it's not just a bunch of rules, it's actually using AI to understand the context of the invoices.
Exactly. And it can even learn and improve over time.
So for someone who's, not super technical, can you just walk me through the high-level process of how an invoice gets from point A to point B with AstuteAP?
Sure. So let's say you get an invoice via email.
Okay.
AstuteAP automatically pulls that invoice data in, and then it runs it through its AI engine.
Okay.
That engine checks for errors, validates the data, and extracts all the key information.
And then what?
Then it integrates seamlessly with your ERP system, whether it's PeopleSoft or EBS or whatever you're using.
So it basically completes the entire invoice processing journey without any human intervention.
Ideally, yes. Of course, there will always be some exceptions, but the goal is to automate as much as possible.
So besides all the core features, what are some of the value-added features that AstuteAP offers?
Well, one of the big ones is the AI-powered LLM, the large language model.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit, but how does it actually benefit users?
Well, it gives AstuteAP a much deeper understanding of invoices than traditional rule-based systems.
Okay, so it's not just matching keywords, it's actually understanding the meaning of the text.
Right, and that allows it to handle much more complex invoices with greater accuracy.
And what about security, especially for organizations using PeopleSoft EBS Banner?
Security is a top priority for AstuteAP. It's built with the highest security standards, and it integrates securely with all those systems.
So your data is safe.
Absolutely. And AstuteAP also offers flexibility in terms of deployment. You can choose a SaaS model or a traditional license model, whatever worked the best for your organization.
Okay, so you've got options there. And what about analytics and reporting? Can you get insights into your AP process with AstuteAP?
Yes, absolutely. They're actually rolling out a full KPI dashboard in spring 2025.
Okay, so what kind of insights will that dashboard provide?
It's going to track all sorts of key metrics like days payable, outstanding cost to process discounts, captured time, to approve percentage of touchless processing, invoice cycle time, all that good stuff.
So you can really see how well your AP department is performing.
Exactly. And identify areas for improvement.
And the deployment process, is it complicated?
Not at all. It's designed to be really quick and easy. They can have you up and running in less than 4 weeks.
Okay, so you're not talking about months and months of implementation.
Nope, it's a fully managed solution, so they handle everything for you.
And if someone wants to try it out before they commit,
They offer proof of concepts and pilot to production options.
okay, so you can really test it out in your own environment.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's compare Astute AP to those traditional on-premise solutions.
Yeah, because there's a big difference there.
So starting with cost, how do they compare?
Well, with Astute AP, there's no upfront cost for software or hardware. It's a SaaS-like model, so you basically pay as you go.
Okay, and what about on-premise?
On-premise solutions can be incredibly expensive. You're looking at implementation costs anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million, plus you have to buy the software and hardware. And then there's the ongoing support costs, which can be another 20–30% of the license fee every year.
Wow. So it's a significant investment.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning.
So what about updates and maintenance? How do they compare?
Well, with Astute AP, you don't have to worry about any of that. All the upgrades and maintenance are handled automatically by the provider.
Okay, and on-premise?
On-premise solutions, you're responsible for all of that. You need to maintain the hardware and software. You need to handle upgrades. It can be a real headache, and it's expensive.
And what about scalability, flexibility?
Astute AP is built to scale, so as your business grows, the solution can grow with you.
Okay, and on-premise?
On-premise solutions can be much more limited in terms of scalability and flexibility.
Oh, so we talked about that less than 60-day time to value. Can you break that down a bit more?
Yeah, so the implementation for Astute AP takes about 4 weeks. And then you've got the Astute AP getting started process, which is really straightforward.
Okay, so what does that involve?
Well, it usually starts with a proof of concept, what they call an Astute AP test drive.
Okay, and what is that?
It's basically a chance to try out Astute AP in your own environment, see how it works with your data, your ERP system.
And how long does that typically take?
Usually just 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, so it's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah. And once you're happy with the POC, you can move to production really quickly, often in just a matter of hours.
Okay, so you're not talking about a long, drawn-out process.
Nope. And the best part is once you're in production, you can just sit back and relax because Astute AP is a SaaS solution, so they handle all the maintenance and upgrades.
So no more IT headaches.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. How can Astute AP actually help businesses generate revenue and save even more money?
Well, the key is early payment discounts.
Oh, yeah, we touched on that before.
Right. So because Astute AP automates the invoice processing cycle, it means you can process invoices much faster. And that means you're in a much better position to take advantage of those early payment discounts that vendors often offer.
So you're actually turning AP into a profit center.
Exactly. And to help you track those discounts, they're adding a discounts captured metric to the KPI dashboard in spring 2025.
So you can really see the impact of those early payment discounts on your bottom line.
It's all about making AP more strategic.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I know there are always some questions that come up when people are evaluating a solution like this.
Yeah, of course. Happy to address those.
So one common question is about GL coding. You know, for invoices that don't have a purchase order, can Astute AP help with that?
Well, right now, it integrates with PeopleSoft to ensure that the GL coding for non-PO invoices uses the approved chart field combinations from your system.
Okay, so it's following the existing rules.
Exactly, but they're also planning to implement ML-based GL account coding in future releases.
So it'll get even smarter.
Yeah, that's the plan.
And what about capturing specific information from invoices like the PO number or the GLBU or the department?
Astute AP can definitely do that. It uses AI to identify and capture all those key data points.
And if you need to train the model to recognize additional fields, is that a complicated process?
Not at all. It's actually really quick. They can usually train the model in less than a week with about 30 sample documents.
That's pretty impressive. And what about handling specific supplier rules? You know, different organizations might have different ways of dealing with certain suppliers. Can the Astute AP accommodate that?
Absolutely. You can configure Astute AP to handle all sorts of organization-specific supplier rules.
So it's flexible.
Very flexible.
And data privacy is obviously a big concern. How does Astute AP ensure that the invoices processed by one organization aren't used to train the general Oracle AI model?
That's a great question, and they've addressed it really well. They use a pre-trained Oracle AI LLM, but your specific invoices don't actually get fed back into that general model. Instead, they use AI fine-tuning methods to handle your specific business processes and any customizations you've made.
So your data stays yours.
Exactly.
And what about invoice processing errors? Can Astute AP handle those, and especially those that might be specific to a particular organization?
Yeah, it can definitely handle those. You can adjust the solution to handle organization-specific errors, and you can even include custom PeopleSoft fields in the validation process.
So it's pretty adaptable.
Yeah, very adaptable.
Okay, so what about paper invoices? How does AstuteAP deal with those?
Well, typically customers would scan those paper invoices and store them on a secure file share, and then AstuteAP can access those scanned images just like it would a digital invoice.
So it can handle both digital and paper.
Yeah, it's got you covered.
And in terms of validating the key information on an invoice, like the PO number, quantity, pricing vendor, how does AstuteAP integrate with PeopleSoft for that?
It's got pre-built validations and integrations for all those key data points, so it can check the invoice against your PeopleSoft records and flag any discrepancies.
Okay, so that's another layer of accuracy.
Right, and what about handwritten invoices or handwritten notes on invoices? Can the AI read those?
That's a good question because you see that a lot.
Yeah, it can actually, the AI is advanced enough to read both handwritten invoices and handwritten notes.
That's pretty impressive. And just out of curiosity, what document types does AstuteAP support?
It supports all the common ones like JPEG, PDF, PNG, TIFF.
Okay. And what if it encounters a document type it doesn't recognize?
It uses an AI service to classify the document so it can figure out if it's an invoice, a receipt, or something else.
So it's pretty smart.
It is.
Okay, so for our listeners who are in finance roles, CFOs, controllers, AP managers, what are the key takeaways about AstuteAP that would resonate with their goals and motivations?
Well, if you think about it, finance leaders are always looking for ways to operate more efficiently, reduce costs, and improve accuracy.
Right.
And AstuteAT ticks all those boxes.
So it aligns with their goals.
Absolutely. And it also helps them drive change within their organizations by modernizing the finance function.
And what about their personal motivations?
Well, I think a lot of finance leaders are motivated by the idea of showcasing their department as innovative and forward-thinking.
Right. Nobody wants to be seen as the department that's stuck in the past.
Exactly. And AstuteAP gives them a way to do that. It shows that they're embracing new technology and leading the way in digital transformation.
Okay, so let's wrap things up. What are the main takeaways from our deep dive into AstuteAP invoice automation?
I think the big takeaway is that this is a powerful GenAI solution that can automate a lot of those tedious manual tasks in AP.
Right. It frees up your team to focus on more strategic work.
Exactly. And it leads to significant cost savings, improved efficiency, and greater accuracy.
And it's not just about cutting costs. It can actually help you generate revenue by capturing those early payment discounts.
Right, that's a big shift for a lot of AP departments.
And the time to value is really impressive, less than 60 days from start to finish.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
So here's a question for our listeners. Think about all the time and resources your organization is currently spending on manual invoice processing.
Right.
What could you do with all that time and money if you had a solution like AstuteAP in place?
It's a thought-provoking question for sure.
And for those who want to learn more, they can visit the AstuteAP webpage at bstute.com-uso-automation.
Yeah, and they might also consider requesting a demo to see it in action.
So I think what we've seen today is that AI has the potential to really transform fundamental business processes like invoice processing.
Absolutely. It's not just about making things a little bit better. It's about completely reimagining how things are done.
And making them more efficient, more accurate, and even more profitable.
That's the goal.
All right, well, thanks for joining us for another Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.
Bye.